And guess who's getting new turbos? You guessed it, the RX7 finally getting an upgrade on the turbos. Those turbos are what we fitted originally. They were cool 10, 11 years ago, but they're outdated. They're always too small for the engine. They were great to drive, it made boost instantly, but the exhaust side being so small, limited power, and we just couldn't get the exhaust gas out of the engine, which caused tuning issues and all sorts of other stuff. But finally upgrading the turbos. Water cooled, they're just a plain bearing. They're certainly not a drag racing turbo, they're not a huge. They've got to make boost low down and they've got to be really drivable. And they have to fit in the engine bay. So today we're going to get in, we're going to try to get the original turbos off, the original exhaust system. It goes down behind the engine into the passenger's footwell. This thing used to have a passenger seat in it, and where the exhaust comes through was the footrest of the passenger seat, but nobody got in there with me, nobody was brave enough, and it did get quite warm. A lot of the tracks we go to now, we have to run mufflers, and that's something we don't have. So we're going to utilise all the space we can in the passenger side of the car to run twin 3-inch exhaust, a couple of 3-inch mufflers, and hopefully exit the side of the car somewhere about where it's coming out of now. But let's get these things on and see how they sit. Now inside the car, so we're about halfway through getting the exhaust done. Turbos have been mounted up. We managed to modify the flanges on the car so we didn't have to pull the engine out and didn't have to pull the manifolds off. We've changed the location of the turbos just a little bit, just to give us a bit more room to work with the exhaust. Like I said earlier, we've had restrictions before where we had to step it up sizes and tight bends and stuff, so we are now 3 inches all the way from the turbo. We've reused as much of the original exhaust as we possibly can, just to make life easy. We don't want to have to reinvent absolutely everything. If we can make our life a little bit easier, we're all for it. So at this point, we're at the firewall where the exhaust now comes into the cabin. We had a footrest there for the passenger seat, which was a cover for the original side pipes that we had in the car. We've pulled them out and we're starting from scratch essentially. We're going to work forwards from the firewall above the floor on the passenger side, and we're going to get twin 3-inch pipes and 2 big mufflers in this side and try to keep it a side exit exhaust because it's cool, it's user friendly, it gives us more ground clearance and it looks cool. Everybody loves flames pouring out of the side of the car. So we're going to try to get everything in here we possibly can, insulate it the best we can and then cover it up so it's safe. So we'll see what Walt comes up with, what magic he can work, and we'll let him go and see what he creates. Now that we have the final location sorted for the mufflers and for the exhaust inside the car, and we know where it's going to exit the car, we can start working on the sheet work to fill it in, to cover it up, and to give us a bit of heat shielding inside that passenger side of the car. We've been able to reuse the original footrest that we had. We've just cut the back out of that to fit over the exhaust, but we need to fill the gap between that and about where the battery sits. So the easiest way to do it, just made a cardboard template, nothing special. We know that that fits. So we need to transfer that to a piece of aluminium. Cut that out, also test fitted that, and we know that that fits. But we can't just put a plain bit of aluminium in the car. We need to make it a little bit racy. So let's see what we can do with it. Now that we've got all this back together, we need to get back into the engine bay, final fit up in the turbos, the oil lines, the water lines, final fit of the front half of the exhaust, new intercooler pipes, and the list goes on, so we better get into it. This is one of the finished exhaust sections from the turbo back to the firewall. And we've cheated a little bit. We've only remade the bit we needed to remake. We've reused what we can because it speeds the process up and gives us less work to do. This used to be a 2.5 inch section that stepped up to a 3, but we've now been able to go 3 inch all the way through, and it's the same on both sides. Now, because the packaging is so tight in this car and the exhaust runs close to absolutely everything, we're going to heat wrap it. And we've been using the heat wrap for years and years, and we've never had any problems with it, and it really helps to keep the heat down. Pretty easy to do. If you don't want the ends to fray, just fold the end over a bit when you do it. I normally put the joint at the bottom of the pipe so you don't see it, and then just wrap it as tight as you can. What I would normally do to hold the end of it is just to put a hose clamp on it. That way you can tie wire it, or you can use the stainless steel heat bands when you're finished. And it's just helps out to stop it moving around. But just about 50% overlap, I guess, and just as tight as you possibly can. We'll just work all the way down the tube. Try not to get any creases in it. We'll just keep working it like that until we're at the end. We'll cut her off, fold the end back under itself, and then put a hose clamp on it, and hopefully this will come up pretty neat, and then we can fit them into the car. And there's the finished product. Pretty neat and tidy. It's wrapped as tight as I could get it. And that should look really good in the car, and will certainly help with reducing the heat under the bonnet.